Okay, we're back in the garage, back on the Corvette. It's been a minute since we did the last video on the Vette. The last one you saw was painting the car. We've came a little farther than that. It got to the point where I was ready to drive the car, so I just did a lot of work off camera. I've driven it, it drives nice, but we got a lot of work to do today. So let me go ahead and turn this around and bring you up to speed on where we're at on this car. I don't remember everything that we've done or said or what have you, but I do know the last thing you saw was getting painted. I did go ahead and clean these wheels up. They have brand new tires on them. I cleaned up the aluminum lip. You can see here, at least I think it's coming through in the video, you can see a little different shade from the bumper to the hood. The hood's the original paint, the bumper's fresh paint. We did blend into this fender, so it matches the hood and the bumper. We blended from the back of the fender into the door. The door was completely painted. The quarter was painted, and then of course the bumper, which the bumper turned out pretty good. I still have yet to wet sand this side. I did have a little malfunction and got some fish eyes and some runs, but I'll clean that up best I can. It looks pretty good in the sunlight. You don't even see it. On this side here where we did the repair, it's okay. Clearly I am not a professional, and in the sunlight you can see kind of where the repair was made. But I tell you what, for saving me 400 bucks to get a used bumper and just spend a few hours repairing was well worth it, in my opinion. I did pick up some tint for the taillights, and it's vinyl, and I hated it, so I didn't use it. I did get it on the license plate lights, or sorry, reverse lights. Came out okay. What else did we do? I got the air conditioning working. The inside's still kind of a mess. It's missing some panels. Some are broken. I've had to order some. They're on their way. I put in new I put in new sun visors. These are really common to kind of get floppy and break and be junk. So I went ahead and put some new ones in. Pretty easy to do. The seats are holding up nice. They're really comfortable. I picked up a cheap Kenwood head unit and some speakers for the back, as well as a couple replacements from eBay for the front. That we are probably going to do in this video because you got to have tunes, man. One thing I had to do under the car was figure out why the transmission temperature wasn't reading. So when I got the car running and driving, it kept throwing a code, transmission temp too high, but yet it wasn't reading an actual temperature. What this did is it kind of put it into a kind of a lint mode, and it just didn't want to work properly. So I thought, okay, it's been setting for 5 years. It was leaking some fluid from when the torque tube was cracked and the converter kind of came off the pump. It had leaked a little fluid over the years. So I thought, okay, maybe we're just low on fluid. No big deal. I went ahead and topped up the fluid per GM's recommendation, which, by the way, is kind of a pain. You got to have it up in the air, level. It has to be running and in gear, and you're pumping it into the side of the transmission until it drips out. When it drips out, you're good to go. It wasn't bad, but it's still kind of a pain down there with the exhaust in your face and all that kind of stuff. So I did that, and it still wouldn't read. So I thought, okay, maybe the pressure sensor's bad. The pressure sensor on these 4L60Es have a thermo resistor that actually registers the temperature and then transmits that to the PCM so it knows, so the transmission map can work the way it should. However, drop in the pan, let me back up. I thought that'd be a perfect time to replace the oil and filter in the pan, or in the transmission. Fantastic, right? So I dropped the pan, everything looks good. I changed that pressure switch that had that sensor on it. Everything looked okay. I put a new filter in, new gasket, bolt it back up, fill it with fluid, still doesn't read. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. At this point, I noticed that someone had been in that transmission once before, because the torque converter solenoid had been replaced. And you can tell when those get replaced because they get spliced into the existing harness unless someone goes out and buys a complete new harness, which is what I ended up doing, because at that point I thought the only thing it could be is a harness. So before I actually ordered it, I went ahead and I dropped the pan, drained the oil, and I removed the factory harness again. And I noticed in the plug that comes through the transmission case, where the main transmission connector plugs in, had 3 bent pins. I'm surprised it shifted. I don't know. So it had 3 bent pins that weren't doing anything. So I went ahead, ordered a new harness from O'Reilly's. It was like, I don't know, 60 bucks. It wasn't bad. Threw that in there, put more fluid in it. The filter was still good because it had 5 minutes of runtime on it. That fixed my issue. So at that point, I spent the last weekend driving it. Definitely had some kinks to work out, put some fresh fuel in it. At this point, it runs and drives fantastic. And we'll get some driving, some driving videos at some point here soon. But it's a great daily driver, man. So the plan for today is this top. So a lot of times on these Corvettes, the acrylic top here, this is not a glass top. It is a acrylic plastic kind of stuff. They get real faded and they can kind of get sunburnt, if you will. I was gonna wrap it with some vinyl and I tried that. I just didn't like the way it came out. So we're gonna try and refurb it. And so what I've done so far and what we're gonna finish in this video here is we're gonna wet sand it again. It's still got some little bumps on it and stuff like that. So I want this perfectly smooth. So we're gonna wet sand it again, and then we're gonna spray a couple coats of clear coat. I think I'm using some leftover Nason Select Clear 496. I've used it on some collision jobs before, and it seems to spray pretty nice. So we're gonna spray a couple coats of clear, and hopefully I don't have to cut and buff. But if I do, not a big deal. That should, I don't want to say to make it look like new, but it should make it look pretty good. With the problem with the vinyl, you can't see through it anymore, and you run the risk of when it sets out in the heat, it starts to bubble a little bit, and then you got the wrinkles if you don't do a good enough job. And so I think this is more up my alley. I've already did one pass with the wet sanding. I think we're going to come back and do it again because you can kind of still see some little spots. I don't really know what you even call it, but I need this perfectly dull, and then we'll spray it. So I'm going to put you guys up on a laps. We're going to do some more wet sanding here, back the car out, put a couple coats of clear on, and then we'll put the new head unit in and have some tunes. So that was a lot of talking. I know I rambled on for quite a bit there, but I had to bring you guys back up to speed for those that are actually interested in this car, or if you're doing a similar project to, refurb your own trash C5 Vette. This is the way I'm doing it. If you're looking at maybe refurbing your top, let's see how this turns out, because if it turns out well, this is actually a really easy job. Even if you're not comfortable spraying paint or clear or what have you, you can go to Harbor Freight and buy you the $15 purple gun and probably do you just fine. So, all right, talked enough. Let's get you up on the laps and get to work. Okay, so we've got it all wet sanded down. It's all got a nice dull finish. I'd say we're ready to spray. I've already sprayed it with a couple coats of wax and grease remover. I had to hit a few spots by hand simply because there was still a little bit of, I don't know, it just needed hit. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, it came out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. So let's get some clear mixed up and get it sprayed. All right, so I did 1 light coat and then 2 medium wet coats. I think it came out pretty good. I didn't have a lot to work with, to be honest with you. The existing acrylic that was here probably needed to be replaced, and you can kind of see, it may not show up in the camera, but you can kind of see that some of the stress and weathering is actually through. But overall, for just some leftover clear and a couple hours of elbow grease, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better result. And you can tell, I mean, it picks it up pretty well in the camera, but even in person, it has a very nice finish. You can see through it quite nice. Yeah, you can see it in the camera there. Very happy with that. So what we're gonna do now, my camera's just about dead. I think I'm gonna throw this on charge, go in the house, grab some food, and give this a couple hours to flash, and we'll come back out, and I'm not gonna touch it, but we'll come back out and we'll start on some of the audio stuff on the Vette. But man, look at that finish. That is so much better than I think you could. I think these panels, you can buy a replacement panel for like $300 to $400, and it's just a piece of Lexan essentially. But this is, in my opinion, this is a better route, because I think that finish is pretty fantastic, especially for what you gotta pay to get something any better. All right, rambled enough. Let's put this on charge, and we'll be back in just a little bit. We're in the car, and I did some work off camera while this thing charged. Is it focused? It looks focused. I can't tell. And this side, for whatever reason, the tweakers that owned it had pulled all the grill covers off and took just the speakers. So the Bose amps and the mounting brackets for the Bose speakers were still there. So I picked up, and I don't have them on me, but I picked up some used units from eBay. I pulled the actual drivers from the bracketry and installed it in there, and I put this cover back on. They did kind of mangle it, but I think I made it work okay. In the back, and that one, they were missing as well. So I picked up some Kenwood, I think 6.5, and they just bolted right in. Crutchfield gives you some cool little adapters that just plug in. It's quite nice. So what we got going on here, here's the Metra dash kit with the sleeve from this Kenwood unit. It only goes in really one way. This is hard to do one-handed. There you go. Just like that. I do have the extension for the antenna on there, but before I actually bolt this in, I have to mess with this spaghetti here. So because this is I guess what you would call premium sound car, it's got the Bose amplifier, so you have to use this little access box. It came, you get a discounted rate if you buy it all through Crutchfield, which I did. It really wasn't that bad. You can set some gain on each individual channel using this little box. I'm not sure what this is. I think this might be, I really don't know. I think it's all for the amp stuff, but it's pretty straightforward, color to color. I could have cleaned this up a little bit better. As far as, use some zip ties and things of that nature, but overall it's pretty good. This plug in here, we're going to plug in this plug, and then this plug here, I believe, goes to this, which leaves this one, and it doesn't go to anything from what I understand. But so the reason I did all this off camera is because I want to go ahead and hook this all up now, and I still have that side to do, but all other 3 speakers are in, so we'll at least have the chance to test it. I think I'm going to mount the microphone for this little Kenwood unit just right here. I know a lot of people go up in the corners or what have you, and that's probably a good way to do it. And if I wanted to spend the time, I might do that as well, but I don't know how much I'll actually use the microphone. I might use it a little bit. So I'm just gonna put it right here, and if it turns out there's not great sound out of it or people can't hear me, I'll just reroute it. There's plenty there's plenty of cord like this is all it here. So let me, I can't do this one-handed, so let me put this down. Maybe I'll set it behind me so you can at least see me plug some stuff in, but let's get this going. Okay, so I got it all in there. It looks very nice. Put the key in, turn it on. We are connected. Let's see how long it takes my phone to connect. Will it reconnect? I'm still learning how this works. There it is. And it sounds very nice. I know sound doesn't really come across very well in videos, but it does have a very nice sound, very clear. I did a test phone call. I put the mic right there. I don't know if you can see it right there. But yeah, turn this off. But yeah, she's in. Speakers are good. I'm not gonna mess with that side because it turns out their speaker's still there. So I had to replace the one on this side, the two in the back. Just hanging out the Corvette. We got the top refurbed. We got the radio in. We got speakers in. Car's painted. Car runs and drives. We got a few more little things to do. I'm going to put the interior back together, obviously. I ordered some, as you can see back there, there's a bunch of missing hatches or covers or whatever you want to call them. So I ordered the carpet that goes in those storage compartments, as well as ordering the lids because they were missing. And it bothers me that they're gone. So I went ahead and ordered all that good stuff from the old eBay. They should be here within the next few days. Throw that in. Car runs good though. No check engine lights. When we fixed the transmission temperature sensor thing, that got rid of any other warnings. The only thing that pops up now is the tire pressure monitoring system. So I know that there's no sensors in the front tires. The back ones still read. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But the car's a good cruiser. Goes straight, doesn't pull, drives smooth. But I think the more I drive it, the more we kind of stretch its legs a little bit. Because when you let things set for 4 or 5 years or longer, sometimes, you know, you run into a lot of issues that you wouldn't if you would use the things. That's the thing with like show cars. You get these people that build a show car, which is beautiful. But if you don't use it and take care of it and maintain it, things rot, man. Time is rough on a lot of things. But anyway, I'm rambling again. So I think we're going to end this video here. We got some more things coming up, but make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, thanks.